things you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Happy Halloween, everybody! I'm your host for Trash Can Tidbits, Beaton, and welcome back to the show. I appreciate everyone out there for sticking around in between various episodes. I think my weekly episodes will be scaled back just a bit so I can have room to make other types of fun videos in between this regular series. Don't worry though, I'll still be here to provide some of my fun trivia every other week. Last time, I asked the question, was the character of Johnny Fontane in The Godfather based on Frank Sinatra? The answer is very surprising, both yes and no. Mario Puzo always maintained that Sinatra was not the inspiration for Fontane, but there are some surprising similarities between the two. The character in the book was expanded upon just a little more to include not just an obvious tie to organized crime. Sinatra was much more progressive and political than Fontane. The character in the novel was advised by the Don to not lean towards such standings for fear of hurting his career. The portrayal in the book was enough though to enrage Sinatra, so much so that Fontane in the film was cut to just a few scenes, including the scene where he performs at the wedding in the beginning. That scene was inspired more on Tony Bennett, who actually did perform at a mob wedding for free. But let's be honest, if you were Mario Puzo and you wrote a character that was supposedly based on a popular singer and actor who had ties to the mafia, would you want to admit it? Hopefully that cleared some things up. So, without further ado, let's get back into it with fact number 1. Did you know that the movie version of the musical Rent notably uses 6 of the 8 members of the original Broadway cast? Anthony Rapp, Mark, Adam Pascal, Roger, Idina Menzel, Maureen, Jesse L. Martin, Collins, Taye Diggs, Benny, and Wilson Jermaine Heredia, Angel, all reprised their roles from the Broadway show. The only 2 members who did not appear in the film were Daphne Rubin Vega as Mimi and Freddie Walker as Joanne. Both actresses declined because they felt they were too old to play their characters. Instead, Rosario Dawson played Mimi and Tracy Toms played Joanne. Toms had actually been auditioning to play Joanne on stage for the last 5 years prior to the movie. Due to her success in the film, she finally got to play the character on stage when Rent had its final Broadway performances in 2008. Fact 2. Did you know that late Nintendo designer Gunpei Yokoi originally worked for the company as a maintenance worker? Yokoi began his career as a repairman for the various assembly lines and as a janitor. In his spare time, however, he liked to make toys. It was one such toy that caught the Nintendo higher-ups' attention, and they hired him to make a line of toys, beginning with an extendable mechanical arm called the Ultra Hand. Nintendo prospered as a toy company throughout the 70s and 80s. In the mid-80s, though, Yokoi transferred to the gaming division with the invention of the Game & Watch, and cemented his legacy within the gaming community with the Game Boy. Fact 3. Did you know that Lisa Simpson became a vegetarian because of Paul McCartney? The former Beatle and his then-wife Linda McCartney made guest appearances on Season 7 of The Simpsons, Episode 5, Lisa the Vegetarian. One of his requests for appearing in the episode was to promote vegetarianism, and with Lisa being the most level-headed of all the characters, not only would the episode center on her, the McCartneys as themselves would be the ones to fully commit her to her eating habits. Lisa has been a vegetarian ever since, and the episode remains one of The Simpsons' most popular. Fact 4. Did you know that Uncle Fester from the Addams Family originally started out as Morticia's uncle? The original TV series had Fester as Morticia's uncle and therefore not a traditional Addams. The 2 theatrical films made him Gomez's brother instead, and he's been portrayed that way ever since. Granny, meanwhile, has been both Gomez and Morticia's mother throughout the entire history of the series. The snafu was even addressed in the Addams Family Broadway musical, with a line spoken by Gomez to Morticia that went along the lines of, "I thought she was your mother!" Fact 5. Did you know that Johnny Depp's death scene in A Nightmare on Elm Street was done not only in one take, but could technically count as a blooper? The first Nightmare film was Depp's film debut, playing Glenn, the boyfriend of the main heroine, Nancy. His death scene had Freddy Krueger pulling Glenn into his bed and spitting him back out in a huge bloody mess. The bedroom set was built in a big rolling cage that rotated 360 degrees. In fact, the set was already used for Tina's death scene earlier in the film and was turned upside down for Glenn's death scene. When director Wes Craven called action for the gallons of fake blood to be poured, it got all over the ceiling, hit the electric lighting, and shocked all the crew, not only pouring the blood, but the people turning the room on the outside. All of the liquid trickled outside, getting everybody red and wet. If you look closely in the film, you can see some of the props shifting around because the room was still turning. The whole take was used in the film, and even a shot of Depp emerging from the hole in the mattress and falling down dead was filmed, but ultimately wasn't used. Fact 6. Did you know that the Spice Girls were considered to play the Muses in Disney's Hercules? While I can sort of picture them, they would have sung the songs very differently than the gospel-inspired songs in the final film. Plus, I think they would have been hired mostly due to their popularity at the time. In either case, the group had to turn it down because of their busy touring schedules. Nevertheless, I do sometimes wonder how the Spice Girls would have sung Zero to Hero. It's always fun to speculate. Thanks to Regda for sharing that one with me. Fact 7. Did you know that Dr. No is the only film in the James Bond franchise to have Bond actually sing? There's a song that pops up throughout the film's soundtrack called Underneath the Mango Tree, which was written by songwriter Monty Norman, who also composed the James Bond theme song. The song is sung by various characters, including during Ursula Andress's now iconic introductory scene of her coming out of the water in her bikini. Sean Connery as Bond sings a little bit of the song back to her as he greets her. In a previous episode, I even mentioned that Connery got to sing in a Disney movie called Darby O'Gill and the Little People, so he could indeed sing. Fact 8. Did you know that the movie Scream has a special screen credit given to the school where the film was denied permission to shoot? The high school scenes were originally supposed to be shot at Santa Rosa High School in Santa Rosa, California. However, very close to the shooting date, the superintendent denied Wes Craven access to shoot there because the board believed the film was a comedy and not a horror movie, and were turned off by the level of violence in the script. Craven instead hastily moved production to Healdsburg, California. He got the last laugh on Santa Rosa by saying in the closing credits special thanks section, quote, "No thanks whatsoever to the Santa Rosa City School District Governing Board," end quote. Perfect payback if you ask me. Fact 9. Did you know that there was a Sega Dreamcast port of Half-Life that was almost released but was cancelled? It's true that the first Half-Life game received a PlayStation 2 port, and the Dreamcast version was also being developed by Gearbox. Both ports were teased in many gaming magazines, but only the PS2 port ended up getting released. It's believed the Dreamcast version was cancelled because of the system's failure and due to a change in the gaming landscape. A copy of the Dreamcast version is still out there, however, and is very much playable. Quite interesting to see that there is still a dedicated fan base out there for that system. Fact 10. Did you know that while actress Shirley Eaton played Jill Masterson, aka the Golden Girl, in the Bond film Goldfinger, she did not do the modeling in the gold paint for the film's advertising. That job went to model and actress Margaret Nolan, who also had a brief role as Bond's masseuse, Dink. For each iteration of the film's poster and advertising, she would be painted head to toe in gold. Nolan also did the posing and modeling during Goldfinger's title song sequence as well, making her the prototype of the semi-nude girls seen in Bond title sequences ever since. And here's this week's trivia question. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has had quite an interesting resume of directors ranging from Jon Favreau to Sir Kenneth Branagh to Taika Waititi. Each filmmaker has brought their own unique filmmaking touches to each MCU film, ranging from heavy drama to laugh-out-loud comedy with lots of action in between. You may be surprised to learn that only 3 women have directed MCU movies, and that includes Oscar winner Chloe Zhao, set to make her MCU debut with Eternals. My question to you is a two-parter. Which female director was the first to direct or co-direct an MCU film, and which film was it? And there we go for this video. Happy Halloween to everyone out there, and definitely stay tuned for more of my trivia materials. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell to be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.